So the question that we have here is to describe the transformation from f of x to f of 2x minus 3. So we're taking some function and we're now applying it to 2x minus 3 instead of just x. So this is quite a tricky question because we can see that both of the kind of changes, so the 2 and the minus 3, are both being applied to the x. And this means that the order is important. If one thing's happening to the x and one thing is happening to the y, then it doesn't matter which way you do it because they're affecting different axes. But when they're both happening in the x direction, it matters. So the first thing that we can do is just think about the fact that, about what they both are. So 2x, that's a stretch of scale factor, a half in the x direction. So stretch, scale factor half in the x direction. And this minus 3 here, that's also applied to the x, so we know that it's a shift, and it's a shift or a translation of 3 in the x direction. So now we know what both of these things are, we want to think about which way do they happen. And we can see this just kind of by looking at it, because if we imagine that we did the shift first, so we do x minus 3, and then times that by 2, we're actually doing the whole thing, so it would be 2 lots of x minus 3, so that's 2x minus 6. So that can't happen. So you've got to think them happening one at a time. So we must have multiplied by the 2 first. So what we have to say as our solution is that this is a stretch of scale factor 1/2 in the x direction, followed by a translation of 3 in the x direction. So the key thing to note here is that the order really matters with it. But there's your solution.